Hello, my most amazing artists. Today we're finishing up our Charley Harper inspired fawns or baby deer. To do that, most of you got your large white piece of paper and you sketched out your fawn, or at least part of it. So today I'm going to give you a chance to finish that with pencil first, drawing light until you get it right, because it's harder to erase when you press really hard. And after you're finished drawing really big, then I will give you you will have a Sharpie already. These are brand new. I just bought them. So let's make sure that we use them right, meaning that we uncap our markers to use them, don't lose the cap.
And when we're finished with them, you cap them, because not only are they super smelly and it's not good for us to be smelling them for too long, but also they'll dry out if they're open for too long. So please make sure that we're really taking care of them and also not pressing too hard on the tip, because if you press too hard, it'll actually break that nice pointy tip there and it won't work as well for my next student. You really don't have to press hard for it to work, especially since these are brand new. So you can outline all of your lines. Go ahead and do that.
Once you're done outlining, don't forget to cap that Sharpie marker nice and tight, put it back, and then you're going to erase all of your pencil lines so it looks nice and neat. Now, if your pencil's like mine and the eraser is gone, then make sure that you use one of the erasers in your bin. There should be two big, nice drawing erasers that you guys can share, because you'll probably be at all different stages. Now, if not, and everybody's using an eraser, just let me know. I have some extras of cap erasers for the end of your pencils up front. So just let me know what you need. I'll make sure you get it. But
even I don't have a big eraser and I'm doing just fine. Just being extra careful that I don't erase too hard and accidentally rip my paper, because you only get one. And once you get to this point, you really wouldn't want to sacrifice your entire masterpiece.
after you erase, we're going to talk about one of the things that Charley Harper really focused on. One of those was shape and lines, which we already broke it down to draw our fawn, but another one was texture. Texture is how something feels. Now, that doesn't mean your emotions, it means how it would feel if you were able to touch it. So we actually can't make this have real texture, but we can have something called implied texture, meaning that it looks like it would feel maybe soft. I think that's what the texture of this deer might be. Soft and a little bit fuzzy, especially for a baby. So you're going to get
a white crayon, and it's going to be a little bit of magic. You're going to have to make some, just a few fuzzy lines that might give it some fur or hair, and then you'll see what happens when we paint over top of it. So be careful, because you aren't able to see what you're doing with the white crayon, so move extra carefully. Just move in the white spots, not anywhere that you put the black paint, because or the black marker. You wouldn't be able to see it. So I'm just going to do a few lines, just kind of some back and forth lines, not too many, but just some that might look a little bit fuzzy. Just to show some fur, so I'm just going back and forth, just a few lines, but not scribbling. I'm making sure that my line direction is going the same dog bowl. I'm just at home, I have a cup. So what I'm going to do is the same thing you're going to do is take my paintbrush, give it a dip in the water. If it starts to drip, I'm going to wipe it on the lip. Now that's the lip of the cup here, not to the lips on your face. So dip, if it starts to drip, oh, yep,
dripped. Careful. Wipe it on the lip, but not these lips. All right, don't tap it, because when you tap, it might get water just like that on somebody else's paper or drip on your own. Now make sure you're working on top of a messy mat. You don't want too much water, because this paper is not very strong. It could rip if you have too much water. So I just want a little bit. And the more that I dance around in the paint with my paintbrush, the thicker the paint's going to be, or the more opaque. Now, I kind of want it a little bit transparent, so I'm going to have more water and less paint. I'm not going to dance around a whole lot. I'm going to start over at the top of my paper and work towards the other side. So I'm just going to give a test here. Now keep in mind, if you do need to test your color or the transparency or opacity, meaning how light or dark or thick that paint is, you can test it on your paper, because we will be cutting these out and collaging them. So don't worry about the outside. We're not worried about coloring in the lines too much, although you do always want to do your best work and be neat. But notice how those textured lines from the crayon are coming through. That created something called a resist. It pushed it off of it because it's made of wax. The crayon's made of wax and it doesn't go well with paint. So it's pushing that paint off and showing a really cool texture through there. All right, so now I'm going to move on. Notice I'm dipping, wiping it on the lip, even though you can't see it. If it starts to drip, and then I'm going to go back to my paint.
Dance around just a little bit, and I'm just going to keep painting. Now, I'm using mainly brown. If you want to add a little bit of black or maybe a little bit of orange, you could. But I think it's going to be faster if I just use brown because the Fawn are mainly brown.
All right, so the very last step is going to be adding some white back to get those spots back if you're not very good at painting in the lines like I'm not. So if you're like me and need to cover up those spots, if you got a little bit of paint inside of those lines, you can take a white cup of paint. This is gonna be the very last step. Really wash off your brush good of any watercolor. Give it a really good wipe because you do not want a lot of water with this paint. You're just gonna give a little dip in this white paint and then go over a few different white spots where there were highlights. That's where the light hits there, and I'm just gonna go put a little bit of highlight right there on the eyelid, one right there, a couple on the eyes, really carefully just putting some white paint in there, another highlight on the nose. You really don't need too much of this paint.
Just a little bit to add some highlight.